All right, guys, welcome. So this is our very first 50 is a Mindfuck. And today I have with me one of the most remarkable women that I know. And do you want to say your name or do you want to keep it cool?
Yikes. No, let's just keep you going with remarkable.
Okay,
like
remarkable. Remarkable businesswoman. But side note is she's 50 something. And so you guys, we're going to be talking about all the bullshit and fucked up shit that comes. And there's so many subjects that if you're not following my Instagram right now, which is hashtag 50 is a mindfuck or 50 is a mindfuck, please do, because I think I try to post provocative pieces that I wonder if you guys are thinking it, can't say it, don't know where to go with it. Do you think you're the only one? And Lori and I have talked a little bit about which today's subject is I smell like a goat. And it's funny, but it's not funny, but it's funny. But so it's bringing a whole, I don't know about you, Lori, but when I turned 50, like this whole onion of bullshit started coming my way that I was like, what the fuck? You know, like you go, oh my God, my kids are a certain age now. Great. I'm going to clean out their room. Right. So then all of a sudden these other arrows start coming our way that were like, I don't know. I wasn't. What do you think?
Well, heading into the 50, it was like this big bright light. I actually thought it was going to be great. And kind of like you, when I hit 50, what the fuck? Everything fell apart for me. I mean, we could have a whole conversation about, breast cancer in your 50s. But, you know, for today, this I smell like a goat is all consuming for me.
Yeah.
And I know it's starting to be that way for you as well.
Yeah. So tell us about your goat tails, as it were.
Yeah, goat tails. So
and we may cry, everyone.
We may
giggle
cry a little bit. I think I'm cried out. I think I've cried more in this last year than I have my entire life.
Oh.
And I'm a crier.
Yeah.
I'm a crier, but in the exact same week, kind of as you mentioned, as we get older, we get to that point where you're thinking, I'm free. I am one of those women who was excited about being an empty nester. I'm not going to apologize for that. I know a lot of my friends crying over their last child leaving the nest. That wasn't me.
Ooh,
I felt like I did my job. I have 2 amazing daughters. My oldest just got married New Year's Eve.
Oh, congratulations. I was there. It was very fun.
It was super fun. And I was looking forward to me time. And God help me, in the exact same week that my youngest went off to college, my mother came home from a trip back home to her home state of Iowa, and a complete different person.
So she was gone for what, about a week, you said?
19 days.
And tell us kind of how that unfolded.
Well, I'm very fortunate that my mom did live somewhat down the street. My kids could have walked from their elementary school to her house or my house in about equidistance. And that was great. But it also kind of led me to allow her to have her own life too. So admittedly, I didn't spend a ton of time with her. She's 86, and leading up to this trip to Iowa, I maybe saw her once a week, spoke to her a few times a week, and I didn't notice anything.
So, and you had no concerns about her traveling? Because, sometimes we're like, oh boy, Mom, maybe you shouldn't, drive to the casino today. But you didn't have any concerns with her traveling like that?
No, the only concerns I had was she was still driving and would want to drive herself to California, and she's very strong-willed, so you didn't argue. But she had gotten to the point where she was done driving to California, at least.
On her own?
On her own.
Yeah.
At 86. But traveling, through on an airplane, no concerns at all. She makes this trip every single year. I had no worries.
Gotcha.
No worries. So she left August 1st. I did get a phone call in a little bit of panic about a week into that trip. Her just worried that she wasn't able to play games. Her memory was failing her, just in a complete panic, and that she hadn't experienced this before. And I said, Mom, we haven't been 86 before, just as I'm 53. Things are changing.
Yeah.
We'll go through it. We'll figure it out. And so she went on with the rest of the trip. And when she came home, and I went inside the airport, which I normally wouldn't do. I just felt the need to go inside.
You knew.
I just knew. And she walked off that plane with this look on her face like she she was a completely different person.
Wow, you guys. So, listen, this is a heavy subject. But we are trying to find some glimmer of humor in it. And it's probably the best way that we could, cope with, sort of what we're looking at. And then that was what date?
August 19th.
And we're now in late January, you guys, whenever you hear this. But so in that time frame, my friend here has been navigating and triaging. Would that be a good word?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you?
Well, I mean, this all happened right before, and maybe this was needed in my life in planning my daughter's wedding, an epic New Year's Eve wedding that was all consuming. And then my mom shows up at home again. Fortunately, I run 2 businesses from home. I can't imagine what this looks like for somebody who is still who works for someone else, who is
has to take time off.
Yes,
Jesus
I can't
Christ.
even imagine what that would look like for them.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I was legit at her house 5 to 8 hours a day because she couldn't make any decisions. She couldn't decide a grocery list. She couldn't make her own meals, like all of this overnight. And so
Holy shit.
yeah, it was a little bit of a distraction from the wedding, which I think may have been a good thing. But what I've really tried to focus on through all of this is just the fact she did have 86 years.
Yeah.
She's had her bumps and bruises throughout the way, but for the most part, very independent for 86 years. So like you said, trying to find some humor in it, that's kind of where I'm at now. Prior to the wedding, I was mourning the loss of who she was.
Right.
Because I knew she would have been all up in it. She'd have been all up in the planning. And maybe that was a good thing that she's not all up in it.
Right.
But really mourning the loss that if she knew she wasn't all there mentally for this wedding, like how sad that would have been. But friends reminded me that, you know what, Lori, if it's not the wedding, it's her first great-grand, there's always going to be something.
There's no right time to head into dementia.
Right.
Right. Like as if you have a goddamn choice with it too.
Yeah, no choice.
It's really quite, it's really a slap in the face it's a slap in the face from life, for everybody involved, because you're like, we just look back and go, like, I know for me, and this might be a different experience for you, but sometimes I want to shake my mom figuratively, because I'm like, wait, you were such a ball buster. No, like, and my mom, you guys, is not having the challenges that Lori's is, but different definite changes that are funny and scary and not, and we're probably navigating our situations differently. Like, I'm like, get back on track, Mom. Let's go.
Yeah. And I know I can't say that. I know that for her last night, I spent 2 hours playing dominoes, and she obsessed over the fact that there were duplicate dominoes. And every time she would notice a duplicate domino, she would have to set it aside because those weren't the rules. What is wrong with this domino? And obsessing over certain things. And one of the main things she's obsessing over right now is the fact that she smells like a goat.
Yeah. I mean, and so you guys, my friends and I, we giggled, but we didn't.
Yeah. I mean, and I would say, if you smelled like a goat, God help me, you would be, sunk in a tub with lush, 5,000 lush balls in there.
Yeah.
She doesn't smell like a goat. She thinks that she does. And that the smell is coming from internally, and that she's even smelling up the outdoor courtyard in her new assisted living residence, which, again, a slap in the face, because the one reason, or the main reasons I wanted her in assisted living was the social aspect, because she physically is in great shape. So this I smell like a goat is keeping her from taking part in anything.
Because she's pretty cognitive overall, right?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This memory, it's not, in general, it's not a memory issue. She can remember everything. She can remember her sugar cookie recipe, her brownie recipe. Thank God we can remember those recipes. We are going to write those down immediately.
Yeah, because I know where that's headed for your next venture.
Exactly. Going through her cedar trunk, she can tell me everything about everything in that cedar trunk. Oh. So it's not necessarily this Alzheimer memory issue.
How we would imagine it.
Exactly.
Right?
It's looping on certain things, which initially started with finances. And then now this, I smell like a goat, which again, she wouldn't even go with me upstairs to the game room to return the dominoes because she didn't want to smell up the upstairs. I steer clear of the upstairs. They already have to put up with me downstairs.
Oh my goodness.
And what do you say to that?
Like, so do you find yourself ever, like, do you find yourself laughing about it or I like, you know what I'm saying? Or does it upset you? Does it make you angry?
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because just like your mom and just like you and me, very strong
and many of us
woman, I think my biggest thing is if she knew what she was saying, if she knew the way she was behaving, she would be so pissed off at herself.
So did you feel like once you realized there was a problem, and I think you had touched on it earlier that you were like, there wasn't a problem, now there's a problem, in a quick minute, you had to make some decisions. Did you find that confused on where to start, where to go, what to do, who to talk to, or what did you do?
Well, I think because I am more business minded, I went into very much business mode, and that has kept me sane through it. Most of the tears come when I'm at the doctor's office because I'm not an advocate for the elderly, and I should be now that I've been through this, but I wanted to say, what the fuck? Like, especially for her primary care, who has been her primary care since she moved here in 2008, to go from being Betty, who jumped out of an airplane on her 80th birthday, to this shell of a person.
That gives me goosebumps.
In 19 days.
Oh.
Why aren't you figuring this out? Why aren't you pushing forward in finding out how this happened, in my opinion, overnight? But any other caregiver that has never met her, they look at her and they look at her chart and they see 86 years old.
Yeah.
And they assume that this is, she's just, this is how she is. I'm like, no, I want to pound on the table. And that's where the tears come from, is where they just want to cast her aside when they don't realize how she has gone from A to Z so quickly.
Yeah. And so you really, as I remember our conversation, you really haven't gotten an answer.
There's really not an answer. They're saying dementia with an underlying mood disorder, which I think comes from her personality in general, that she knows what's going on and she's pissed.
Well, and imagine, I'm sure it's depressing as shit.
Yeah.
For her. I noticed my mom's doctor is very dismissive, and it pisses the living shit out of me because I go with her, not all the time because I want to give her independence, but I recognize I almost feel like he can't get out of there fast enough. And she's difficult, but she's not. I mean, I feel like he doesn't listen to her at all. It makes me crazy, which I know you guys are going to say, okay, switch doctors. Oh, right. Yeah. My mom, she won't permit it. So to be cast aside is a really great way to feel, not good way to feel.
Right. And that's where most of the tears came from. And there's two sides of the coin. Is you are trying to help address her medically, and then you are also trying to run her life,
because you have to.
The business of her life, her bills, her investments, in all of that. And so I think the business side of that really did help keep me a little more sane. And right now is, Wendy is also my realtor, and has been amazing through this process. And it's so nice to have somebody that you trust, that through all of this, to send me, 5-page documents that I can say, sis, I can just sign this, right?
Yeah.
Because I trust her.
Right.
I don't have time to read through that, and I know that she's taking care of me. So I think that, and going into that business mode and knowing that I'm doing the right thing for her on a business standpoint has really helped.
Now now, if I may go back, you're adopted.
I am.
And there are siblings.
Yes.
And remind me how many?
I just have a brother who is also adopted.
And so how have you been, were you just sort of assumed you'd be the one, or to take care of everything? Because I was reading a book about how there's always that one child. I'm now an only surviving, so it is what it is. But they're in a group of a family, someone assumes that, Lori will take care of it, or John will take care of it, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I think my brother would be that go-to person, but he doesn't live here. And so much of what has to happen right now, you have to physically be at her home, going through her things, trying to make sure that we're not discarding things that are important to the family. But in general, he's very large and in charge. When he would pop in, he would, and I don't want to call him an armchair quarterback because he has done the best he can. It must be difficult for the siblings that don't live in that area because they can only do so much. So they have been supportive in telling me I'm doing a good job, things like that.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, it's in general, I think he would have been the person to jump in. But because he doesn't live here locally, it's all fallen on my shoulders.
So that's not a challenge for the two of you as a family, which is great.
No.
Yeah, that's really good. It's something that, and this is a whole other subject matter, which doesn't apply to you as far as like finances. Like, I know we teetered back and forth on what to do with the house, but it's good that you're able to do that. And I know that you had an unexpected breakdown recently. When you were at her house and you were doing, and my friend here that we're talking you guys with, she was painting and scrubbing and cleaning and packing and getting the house ready for sale. And her mom, I will say, just came at you with in a way where you just like, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Like, so one of the other, among many things that she's looping on is, and I think that she's just reflecting on her life. And she's saying things like, I wasn't a good person. I wasn't a good mother. I didn't take care of your father. All things which are untrue.
Correct.
She was fantastic. But she's reflecting on all of those things. And at a point where I was spending my entire day there that I didn't have to give, coming at me with accusations, you did this, you did this, you did that. And I got to the point where I had to leave. I could feel this coming on and I had to leave. I went out to my car and I forgot my damn keys. So I had to walk back in and she's 5'2", 93 pounds.
Right. And you're 5'10".
Yeah. I was shrinking. I think I'm down
5'9.5".
Yeah. But she just came at me again and I just yelled, I can't do anything right.
Just came out of your mouth.
It just came out of my mouth,
yeah.
as did all of the breath that I had in, an air in my lungs, and literally just had a panic attack right there and running around the house, couldn't catch my breath, hysterically crying. I've never had that experience before.
Because you felt pretty tidy and whole and cool before that, right?
I did.
That's how we roll, I think.
I did. Oh, yeah. I'm taking care of business, TCB.
TCB.
That's what I do. And I just, and she followed me around the home. And I do imitations. I can't help myself.
Yeah, please do.
Oh, Lori. Oh, Lori. And I was thinking,
looking back, it's funny, but
and I could see myself from above, and I was almost laughing at myself from above.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, if my daughter were not able to breathe and having this panic attack, I would be scared to death. And she was just accusing me.
Like adding to it.
Oh, yeah. Just adding to it. Just adding to it. But I think that we all need that one moment when my youngest has medical issues. I remember having nothing like this, but that one moment when I got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2018.
Yeah.
It'll be 2 years in
Fuck
April.
you, cancer.
Yeah,
how about that?
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Thanks for the new rack.
Fuck you, Barbara.
Yeah.
A new rack. We like that.
Thank
that
you, cancer, for the new rack.
Yeah.
But I had that one moment, and I think that we all need that maybe one moment to just say, oh, this is fucked up.
Well, this is a really good conversation I think for a lot of us women, professional women, mothers, whatever we are, we got to keep the ship afloat. Yeah. And, the arrows that keep coming at us. And like right now, I feel fine. I've got a lot of bullshit coming my way.
Right.
But I feel okay. And I say to myself, am I going to have a moment like you had? But I don't feel that way. Did it surprise you?
It just honestly just kind of came out of nowhere. It just came out of nowhere. But I think things like that can come and go really quickly because of our maturity, because of everything that we've been through.
Then we recognize it. It's a must.
Yeah.
It's what we must do.
Right.
Now, are there any other, I'll say funny things that she's doing or anything else? Has she evolved as far as like is she staying pretty consistent?
She's pretty consistent. I think the things that we're finding funny now are, she's 86 years old. She grew up in the country. She does have a high school diploma, but the sweetest thing, was yesterday, 2 days ago, there was an envelope because she keeps everything, receipts for everything.
Oh, yeah.
And there was the yellow envelope, and on top of it, it says in her writing, items bought, IDEMS.
Oh.
And I just thought, oh, bless her heart.
I know.
Bless her
I know.
heart. It was just the funniest thing. And the things that she kept from, myself and my brother and our kids now.
The special things she kept and held on to.
Yeah, just coloring pages.
Oh.
Yeah, so I guess that it's fun going through things when she's not actually physically gone, even though I know that mentally she's halfway there. But it is really nice to be able to go through things, and we're going to sit down and get the stories and get as many stories as you can,
right?
Before she's gone.
Now you're married, and how would you classify your husband has leaned in or lack thereof? Maybe.
Well, he has known me since I'm 16 years old, so he knows my personality very well, and I would say that he has sat back quite a bit because he knows that I need the space to do that.
You just got to forge ahead.
Yep. Yeah. And take care of business. And he's there when I need him. I think that's one of the things that I've learned the most over these last several years is to ask for help when I need it. I wouldn't say I'm a martyr, but I'm just used to doing things on my own. Females
often, it's funny that you say the word martyr, because women are the only creatures that sorry themselves to death. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And it's funny that we go to the word martyr, and I wonder if we're attracted to words that aren't more uplifting. I don't see you as a martyr ever. I see you as a get it done lady. And I think we have a sense of just wanting it done.
Yeah.
Well,
where we are today is what it is.
Yeah.
I do say that a lot, and I don't think that I can fix whatever is happening with her, but I'm just trying to enjoy the time that I have spent, and I laugh it off. I make a joke out of it. You learn not to argue.
Right.
That's pointless.
Maybe you can teach me.
Yeah.
I'm serious, man. It's funny because at this time of our lives, and listen, you guys, there's nothing funny about this, but my friend that's here with me today, we do find humor in things that need to have humor to stay afloat. But I feel like I'm trying to get my words in the right space. Going back to how we started this conversation of okay, I can, we can screw all day. I can drink, I can party, I can do whatever I want. My house is clean. My kids are gone. But there's this unknown that we don't even know is actually looming right outside that door of stuff we didn't really ask for. We knew it was coming one day. I knew my dad was going to die one day. I thought maybe never. But I remember thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do if I have to see my dad naked. Well, guess what? I did,
right.
Several times and you're like, all right, you just get into this mode, and it's very humbling. And I will say too, that it creates, I don't know about you, when your dad died a couple years ago, that you start to see there's a finality. There's things in our lives that are happening that create a finality piece. Like your daughter getting married creates a finality. She's gone from your home.
Bum.
Your mom is a finality, meaning she's done with her home and she's now on, I also notice too, I'll say when I hear about your mom or someone's mom or some who died or whatever is sick, I'll go, how old are they or were they? It matters. When my dad passed away, he was 80. People go, oh, like he should have died. But in my head, I think, but then I find myself asking, how old is she or was she or he? Mm-hmm. I don't know why people do that. I may be guilty, but I remember thinking he's only 80.
Yeah. You can justify, oh, well, yeah. And to me, 80 is not old. And maybe I say that because I'm 53.
Ugh.
I want more time. But your dad, for example, just knowing him, I would have looked at him and said, that dude's got 15 more years.
Totally. Totally.
At least.
A friend of mine this morning said, 80 is about the line is drawn in the sand. You guys, I don't know if you all know this, but 50 is a magic death age. Did you know, have you heard that?
Well, I haven't heard that, but I just said that to Bill the other day. I'm like, if as a man especially, if you can make it past your 50s or whatever that initial bump is, because a lot of guys have that initial little scare, and that scare either takes them or it
scares
them and opens their eyes. I'm like, you make it after 50, like you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, you got till 80 most likely.
Yeah, you do.
I feel like that's
just said
true.
that the other day.
Yeah. So when
for men mostly.
Yes, definitely. And
except for us with maybe the cancer thing.
Yeah, but I mean, but you're fine. No, but you're right. I mean, and we're seeing more and more of that. But 50 is a magic death age. I had 2 older women, unrelated, tell me that when my brother died at 50, which is a whole nother subject day. But I feel like 50 and then 80, those are big corners that we walk around in life, right? And so I know for my husband, we had something this week, and I got to be honest. If I don't hear him snoring in the morning, I get nervous.
Yeah. And you want to just say, get your shit together.
I do.
Yeah. I said that to myself. Well, I have my cancer scare, and I'm like, what am I doing? And and again, that's a whole nother topic. We could probably talk about cancer, adoption.
Oh yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Sex. There's a whole lot coming. We got it all covered.
Yeah, we've got it all lined up. But when the only reason I caught my breast cancer was because I was carrying I'm probably, be honest, was carrying an extra 40 pounds. But I knew at my height, I could carry weight, but it got to the point where this is ridiculous.
And I remember you saying that. All right,
I made the move, and the first 10 pounds took care of my blood pressure, and the second 10, my boobs got saggier, and one night I'm like, I should probably do a little breast exam, and there it was.
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's exactly how that went down, because I chose to.
Did you do your own 50, exam or?
Yes. Yes.
Now, had you been heavier, do you think it would have been harder to feel?
I think so. Yeah, my breasts had softened up and started to drop because
another
TBH,
glorious
my
byproduct.
boobs weren't too bad.
Yeah,
but 20 pounds made them change a little bit.
Yeah. It's funny. Also, weight loss definitely makes lots of things dangle more than they used to.
Yeah. But taking control of that because of my situation, and now I look at my mom, and I do find myself getting up out of my office, walking into my kitchen, and standing there thinking, what the fuck was I in here for again?
Yeah.
And then I'm, oh my God. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm adopted, so there is no genetic connection there. Fortunately, I do know my birth parents, and there's no mental there. But what can I do? Now, what can I do?
Yeah.
Is there really a brain camp?
Maybe a puzzle.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
But, don't you start noticing things and you're like, shit, I just did that old person thing.
Yeah.
Like you go, oh, fuck. It's just like, it's such, and I look at other people and I'm like, they look so old and they're my age, right?
Yeah.
And I think, oh shit, people are probably looking the same, at me or you, but I don't look at you and see that. But don't you look at sometimes people and you're like, they look so old and they're 53.
Yeah. It's mostly people that I don't personally know. Anybody that I personally know, like when I think we met in my 30s.
Shut up.
We were in our 30s.
Fuck off.
I think.
Oh.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Let's go with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were in our 30s. So when I look at you, I think 30s.
Right.
I don't see a change in you. I think
but you look
gorgeous.
At Betty. Thank you. As are you. You look at Betty though. I look at my mom and I see 45.
Yeah.
I really do. So that's a really good comment that you just made.
Yeah.
And listen, you guys, with this podcast, I just want to be really, really clear. These are just opinions. They're stories. They're experiences that we may be right, maybe wrong. We don't know. We're just navigating this, horse shit thing that we've been handed. And this time of our lives is the most wonderful, but the most unwonderful at the same time.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with you in saying on that, because for someone to be listening and say, oh, she put her mom in assisted living.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. So she doesn't fall down and crack her head open.
Well, that's it. I'm not a nurse. And, and she needed to be someplace. She was a flight risk also. Someplace where she was going, silver alert, where she was going to be eating healthy, and honestly, the socialization part of that. And I want to be the daughter. I don't want to be her caregiver.
Which is a beautiful decision. Now, did she go wandering off?
No.
Oh, wasn't there a thing at school? Wasn't there a thing?
Well, yeah, she left her home with no phone, no dog, which was, without her
Huge.
dog, you knew that there was something up. And no water, no jacket. And they found her, actually it was in between our homes. And she was trying to flee her home before they, and I'm air quoting, whoever they are, were going to come and take her home and all of her clothes and things in it.
Oh my goodness.
So that was the initial that her home was being foreclosed on. And
I wonder if she secretly has other thoughts that aren't verbalized.
I'm sure that she does. I'm sure that she does. And I think what initiated all of this, to circle back to this Iowa trip, is she's very old fashioned, and she actually, Aunt Betty took care of everything, and she went back to Iowa to try to help handle the estate for her sister-in-law.
Oh, she did.
So that was the goal, was to help get her will and her trust and everything in order, because she was much further down this road than my mom. And I think someone must have told her, how can you possibly have a mortgage at your age?
Some asshole. People those ages, my dad worked until he died, and people were like, why are you, sorry, don't forget your thought. But like, you're still working? Like it was that was shit thing that they say.
Right.
Oh.
Right. And okay, Aunt Shirley, you own your home outright and it's worth $40,000. Mom, we just sold your home for quite a bit more, and you only owe a third of what you sold it for.
That's very generational, though.
I like that math.
Yeah. But my mom has no mortgage, but she lives, like, she has to squeeze water from a rock every month, but she's hanging on to that house. Her house probably worth $450,000. No mortgage. That's that generation thinking she'll go without to keep that roof over her head. That's, her, but yeah, they make asshole comments too, you know. Listen, when your father died, I have no idea what he did or didn't leave her. You don't have to even say it, but we don't know what somebody's, financial space looks like. My mom actually, I don't know if you know this. I think you do. My parents divorced.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
My mom chose not to remarry my dad later in life and then when he died, none of his bills were her responsibility. So side note is my dad didn't have not much, but they had a great life. But that's a whole nother subject too, is divorcing later in life. But the bills that come with that, and you don't know what somebody's finances look like, or you had to get very forensic, I'm sure, on all your mom's stuff.
Well, I did. Fortunately, she did have all of her ducks in a row, already had the power of attorney done for me.
Thank God.
So all of that, because we were already, and not a funny story, but get funny all at the same time, is I didn't know we couldn't get into her safe. She has a safe that's a gazillion years old. And she had the how to get into it, but we couldn't figure it out. And I didn't know that the power of attorney was in there. So we actually had a power of attorney drafted, went down to Wells Fargo, and they wouldn't witness it.
Why is that?
Because they could tell that she was incapacitated. Like, she wasn't understanding what she was signing. And I'll tell you, it was the strangest feeling to stand there and have somebody sort of judging you, thinking, what are you trying to pull over on this woman? When I'm spending hours and hours and hours of my time, taking care of her as opposed to taking care of my businesses, and feeling as if people were like looking at you like, what are you trying to pull?
Well, then it makes you wonder if there's a lot more of that going on, if that's their disposition.
Right.
I mean, not for 1 second do I know you, so.
Right.
But I wonder, what the banks may see all the time.
Well, think about that. Once this transaction with her home is already all said and done, that money's sitting in her bank, and I have access to that.
Sure. Well, and money can change a lot.
It can.
In people.
And for somebody that was struggling, or, there's a big open window there. It's kind of scary.
I remember this is way before I had to even worry about it, but when, your parents, my mom had something and my dad had something. And I said to my dad when he was alive, I go, get your paperwork in order, because I knew my brother would trip me on the way to the house and have the doors locked before my parents' bodies were even cold. I knew he would.
Yeah.
And he wound up dying early, my brother, but Yeah. That can probably happen a lot.
I'm very fortunate that, my brother and I both stand on our own 2 feet. And our goal with her, and I've said this to her before, was that you finish your money like you do your mashed potatoes and your meat in one last bite. That's the goal, you know. But now with this, she certainly wouldn't want to smell up a cruise ship with her goatness. Yes.
Maybe they have a goat disinfectant that you could bring.
Yeah.
Like a special one.
Yes. How I used to say to my daughter, outsmart the 2-year-old. Now we're trying to outsmart the 86-year-old.
And that's a great way to end today. So, you're handed this whole other child. And I remember my mom's high school boyfriend, who's still on Facebook and still messages me. He said, congratulations. You just had another baby.
Yeah. Yep.
So guys, today I'd like to we are sponsored by Gallon Gear, who they're letting us use their studios today. And I don't know, this probably won't be on video, but these guys have this very cool gallon jug, gallongear.com, and they have a neoprene cover where you can put in your cell phone, your keys, your money. A lot of gyms don't allow you to, and you don't want to schlep all that crap with you anyway. But there's a little hook on the side, a little bit of a space to just, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll slide my phone in here. You can use the buttons while you're working out, put your music on Bluetooth, and then it reminds you to drink your water. I have one more story. My husband, cramping up, leaving work, his whole body's cramping, because guess what?
Yeah.
Didn't drinking water. What a dope. Anyway, guys, what's today? Wednesday. Thursday? What is today? Tuesday. Oh God. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Thank you so much for being on today. And if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram. It's 50 is a mindfuck. And do you have any parting words?
No, 50 is a mindfuck for sure.
Yeah. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. And happy 50.